undermines the cooperation within the Council on counterterrorism and the universality of its relevant framework. The Russian Federation has always called for the principled, depoliticized approach to counterterrorism. We expected the same from the others. Unfortunately, in this case, we have witnessed a refusal to uphold core principles simply because the victims were Russians. Another issue, the condemnation of terrorism does not exhaust the list of topics on which some members of the Council are unable to engage constructively. To our disappointment, our proposal to adopt a statement of the President of the Security Council in order to welcome and encourage interaction between Russia and Ukraine on reunification of Ukrainian children who may have lost contact with their families was also blocked. Last week, the Russian Federation proposed a draft statement reflecting the fact that at the direct bilateral talks between the representatives of Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul on June the 2nd, upon the request of the Russian side to provide the full list of children who lost contact with their families in Ukraine, the latter handed over the list of 339 names. We also proposed that the Council welcomed this fact and urged cooperation between Russia and Ukraine on this issue as a part of the peace process. However, certain members of the Council who for many years falsely claimed that tens of thousands of Ukrainian children were abducted by Russia refused to acknowledge the reality. It came as no surprise that these members, who have been actively involved in the disinformation campaign for and by the Kyiv regime since the very start of the special military operation, this new development turned out to be extremely inconvenient. Instead of welcoming the readiness of the parties to work together in good faith, some of the Security Council members chose to condition the adoption of the presidential statement to inclusion of a number of politically motivated provisions. The reality is that the Russian Federation was never engaged in illegal deportation of Ukrainian children, but it has evacuated a number of children from the battle areas for the sake of their own safety. Some of them lost contact with their relatives. We have constantly worked to re-establish it and will continue to do so. But I will repeat, we are talking about 339 names of the children, not tens of thousands as is falsely claimed. Now the Ukrainian list is already under conscientious scrutiny by our relevant authorities, who are ready to keep working tirelessly to restore family ties. With this in mind, we cannot but regret the missed opportunity for the Council to finally engage in a meaningful way in the resolution of the Ukrainian crisis. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Pamela Paul from U.S. News and World. Thank you, Ambassador. On the number of children, the ICC complaint against the Russian Federation officials includes numbers that are much higher. Why do you think the numbers are not higher? It's been cited as 20,000, but 300 seems very low. Will that move forward even though President Trump did cancel the next round of peace talks? Thank you.
That is indeed a strange contradiction, and I was mentioning that when I spoke. The so-called ICC is talking about tens of thousands of abducted children. We hear the same numbers from our Western colleagues and from Ukrainians themselves, but all they can come up with was a list of 339 of those that we will try to identify. And the process goes as follows. The children are evacuated from the war zones, and the contact between them and their relatives in Ukraine, if they have those, we try to establish them, and if there are relatives and the children express clear wish to return to them, we make that happen. Others, some of them are orphans, some of them do not have relatives there, but the main message is that we whoever of these children were evacuated from the war zones, they were not abducted, they were brought to safety, and we are trying to save lives, sometimes at the expense of the lives of those those soldiers on the battlefield who evacuate them.
And will that go on despite the...
Yes, we said we'll continue, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Susan Terwani from WION. I was wondering if...
From where?
From WION, India's international network. My question is, can you confirm or deny whether Russian officials have offered or made arrangements to facilitate the evacuation of any Iranian government official should tensions rise and welcome them to Russia? And also, would Russia be open to such?
I can neither confirm or deny it. This is the first time I hear that.
Ambassador, Stacey Foster, ITV News. Vladimir Putin told Donald Trump at the weekend that he was ready for peace talks. Was he lying?
For peace talks on what? On what?
On Ukraine. Was he lying?
We never said we were not ready for the peace talks. The last talks, the last round happened in Istanbul on the 2nd of June. As far as I know from what our officials were saying and what Ukrainians were also referring to, that the next round will take place end of June.
But we've seen a 9-hour attack last night, tens of people dead.
Tens of people dead.
Mr. Ambassador.
We are not striking civilian targets. We are not striking civilian targets, unlike the Ukrainians who do not aim at that. Can I answer, or will you be asking me all the time? We are not striking civilian targets. We are striking the military objects and the critical infrastructure that feeds into the war and feeds into the Ukrainian war machine.
Ambassador, on Iran and Israel, last night President Trump tweeted that all of Tehran should evacuate. Has the United States indicated to Russia what might be coming? Why did he issue that warning?
No, he made that statement without consulting us first.
And is Russia aware of any plans for any high-level meetings between Iran and US officials?
There should have been another round of talks on the 15th of June, as you know, but it was preceded by this attack by Israel on Iranian nuclear sites, and then the outburst of the escalation of the hostilities, which risk to turn to all-out war. Iranians are not now, I understand them, in a position, to negotiate anything while these events are happening. But President Trump said today that he would encourage, or rather instruct, Vice President Vance and then his envoy Steve Witkoff to try to contact Iranians in an attempt to continue this process.
Thank you, sir. In the light of the Russian offer to mediate between Iran and Israel, and there's also a Turkish offer to do the same, do you see any chance of these offers of mediation succeeding in the light of what's expected in the next 24 or 48 hours?
The offer was indeed made, both by President Putin and by President Erdogan, but I don't see any appetite for mediation on the part of Israel, at least at this time, neither in 24 or in 48 hours. But these hostilities, this thing should be stopped because it has absolutely unpredictable consequences. Given that we are talking about nuclear sites that are under threat, and given that the ballistic exchange continues with the casualties, heavy casualties, and now on both sides.
But you think about Israel, not Iran.
Well, I think Iran would be prepared for talks, for talks to continue what these attacks by Israel stopped in the context of its nuclear program. But the condition is that Israel stops the attacks first.
Are you coordinating your effort, maybe mediation effort with the United States on Iran and Israel?
Could you repeat?
Nabila Bisab, Al-Arabi TV station. Are you coordinating your mediation efforts between Israel and Iran with the United States?
There was a conversation between President Putin and President Trump the other day, and President Putin said that we are ready to do what we can to facilitate. That was said directly to President Trump. So in that sense, yes, we are coordinating, but we don't have any mediation efforts on the ground.
Mr. Ambassador.
Mr. Ambassador, on the Israeli-Iran conflict going on now, Russia, of course, has good relations with Iran and reasonable relations now with the United States.
We have good relations with Israel too.
With Iran. How concerned are you that not only this could escalate into a wider war, but into a nuclear war?
Well, look, the pretext for the strikes is alleged Iranian military nuclear program, which nobody was able to confirm, including the IAEA. There are outstanding issues between Iran and IAEA, but first they are minor, and the IAEA cannot testify that Iran is developing, say, a nuclear bomb. But there are outstanding issues that were subject of inspections, of talks between Iran and IAEA, and that one day or the other should have been resolved. But it suddenly stopped with these attacks. Of course, there is a danger of at least nuclear leakage, because Israelis are bombing the nuclear facilities. Natanz was bombed. Fordo is under threat. There is a nuclear power plant that we help, what we are basically building for the Iranians in Bushehr. So the risk of at least nuclear, how do you call it, fallout, загрязнение, radiation, yeah, is there. What regards nuclear war, God forbid, of course. Iran doesn't have a bomb. It claimed so. It said it is against the laws that they established themselves. But the level of conventional exchange is so high that, of course, it risks a wider confrontation, and that it conflagrate the whole Middle East. And that is a real risk. And that is a risk not just for the region, because it's already a geopolitical thing.
What do you see as the implications for the world if the United States actively comes out supporting Israel?
United States are supporting Israel right now. I mean, by supplying weapons in particular, and politically too. I understand your question whether U.S. will be involved militarily. I hope not. I hope not. And President Trump was speaking about that, and he conditioned his non-involvement on non-attacks by Iran on the U.S. military facilities. I hope that will stay that way. We have enough confrontation already.
One last question.
Mr. Ambassador, my name is Zahra Hojabri. I'm from Iran, and I for Islamic Republic News Agency. Will Russia take any specific actions to stop Israel's attacks on Iran?
What do you mean by specific actions?
For example, talks speak again to President Trump, because he said he doesn't interested to ceasefire, and for example, Mr. Putin talks to Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes, he talks to everybody, but I mean, additional steps. We are doing what we can in this situation, but in order to make people tango, they need to agree to dance tango. So far, we don't see.
Specific action in Security Council.
Look, we had a briefing on last Friday where we were quite unequivocal at what is happening. Us in particular, we called for the meeting on the request of the Islamic Republic of Iran, supported by some other council members. Then we have consultations where we tried to pursue a product by the council, which we failed. I don't think I have to explain to you the reasons why.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Someone's bag, right? Hello? Ladies? Anyone's bag?
Oh, that's mine.
Good, okay. Go ahead.
My plane is totally black. Oh my god. No, my plane is
Yeah.
black.
No, don't worry, I do have
I saw the bigger camera, I saw the other